Hello. So, one thing I'm doing right now, which is crazy and so not like me, is it's almost 2 p.m. and I'm drinking a coffee. I know I'm still jet lagged. We're 5 days in from our trip back from Bali, and I am finally seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. Jet lag is no fun because it's the weirdest thing. If you've ever experienced it, it's like it kind of hits you in the most random times. Yesterday, actually, I'm at the studio, so the Martell Media studio, and I fell asleep on the couch in the common area. And that's kind of embarrassing. But anyway, here we are. And I had this particular topic listed as something I wanted to talk about, the unfiltered truth about building a following, building a community. And to be honest with you, I felt a little imposter syndrome talking about this because when I look at the size of my community, so our team, we have a metrics tab, and I'm going to be fully transparent with our followers. And we have about, including LinkedIn and YouTube, everything's growing monthly, but we have like just over 50,000 in our community. Email list, Instagram, LinkedIn, newsletter, which isn't terrible. Don't get me wrong. But when we think of like people that are leveraging these communities to make money, we always think it's like hundreds of thousands or millions and millions of people. And let me just say, that is so wrong. Now, there are advantages to having a large engaged community. Engaged is the operative word, but it's not necessary to be successful. So if you are using social media for your business or personal account to actually get business and to increase your influence and affluence, then there are some tips here. So who am I to be the one talking about this if my following isn't that big? Like at the time of the recording, I think I have 14,000 followers on Instagram. And I don't want to say that's a lot. It's not enough. I don't want to say anything. I'm not ashamed with that following because I have been putting little deposits in every single week and growing my following. However, sitting on this side of the table, watching how my husband grew his Instagram account from 90,000 to almost 1 million people in a year and a half, almost 2 years, not even, it's like a year and a half. I know what goes into it. I often have people ask me, hey, can you recommend Dan's video guy? I'm just wondering if he has time to help me with some videos. They do not know that the effort it took for him to grow his following on YouTube, on LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, is a team here of Martell Media Studio. There's about 20 of them. And I'd say a third of those people are on the media team. They create content, they write content, they shoot videos, they create shorts, they create reels, you name it. It's no joke. And all I want to say that if you're actually using social media to grow your business, that the most important thing is the consistency in showing up. I always say consistency is your currency. The people want rawness, they want the authenticity, but they also need that consistency. Because people don't necessarily need to be taught, they need to be reminded. And I know that sometimes we get bored of sharing the same message over and over again. But when it comes to this, it's you got to remind people about what it is that you do, what you offer, add some humor and education into it. But really quickly, I want to talk about this. So the question is, should you care about your social media growth? My answer is heck yes, because influential people that we know are getting paid millions. Non-influential people are still getting paid too. They're selling their services and products with a small and engaged audience. That's what I did. I grew my agency and I sold it. And look at the size of my following. There is not necessarily a direct correlation to the size of your audience and the success of your business. However, I do know this. The more that you're intentional about the stuff that you're sharing with the world, the easier it is to do things like land media coverage, be asked to speak on stage, be asked to be on podcasts. So in the world of public relations, the more engaged followers you have, the more media ops you'll have. When you're pitching the media and you have over 100,000 followers on Instagram, it's easier to actually get a yes because that journalist or that media platform will assume that if you get coverage that you'll link to them or you'll share the content, which would hopefully increase the amount of traffic that that article or that podcast, whatever gets. See what I mean? In the world of speaking, if you want to get on more stages, obviously the larger your community, the more, not only the more opportunities will present themselves, but the more you can charge for your speaking phase. Because if you are a speaker that has a very large following, it's an engaged following, it means that you're saying something that people are finding valuable. And that is huge. So all this to say that all of this, the effort to build and grow community takes time. Months and months and months of effort, of testing to see what content works and what platform works best for you, to really hone in on the things that are working and converting. The key is that social media only amplifies what you're actually doing. It cannot substitute your real expertise or your results. So you think about like authenticity. There are some people who go out and they gain influence and affluence because of their growth on social, and that's fine. And then there's other people who do the work kind of behind the scenes that become a quote something that all of a sudden gain that influence. And there's no shame in either. So from my observation, what has worked for me in being able to grow multi-million-dollar agencies and be able to ask really incredible people to be guests on my show and to be guests on other people's podcasts, what I've observed watching my husband grow his account, watching friends grow their account, there's a few things. And by means, I'm not an expert. I'm not a person that goes out and help people grow their social media accounts, although I do know what has worked in the last few months, especially here, but especially with the stuff that I'm doing as well. The other thing that happened like the other day was we had a call for volunteers for my event, the Pink Skirt Project. Go check it out, pinkskirtproject.com. It's happening June 12th in Kelowna, BC. I would love to see you there. It's a one-day summit. So yesterday we had a call for volunteers. What happened was that yesterday in the time of this recording was January 8th, 2025. So some random Saturday in October, I opened up Instagram. I think I had my hair in a bun. I was still in my pajamas. And I was like, hey guys, I'm running an event in Kelowna in June. And I didn't have all the details about it yet. And I'm looking for volunteers. So if this is something that interests you or you happen to be in town and you want to participate, let me know. And then I kind of put it down and I went to CrossFit and I came home and I showered and I cleaned up, not thinking anything of it. And then I opened up Instagram again and my DMs blew up. And it blew up in my world was like, I think I had like 40 to 50 people saying I would be so interested in supporting you. It's like, what? I thought maybe somebody had said something. I don't know. I don't know what I thought was happening, but I couldn't believe that some random story that I had shared on Instagram actually was influential enough to have people interested. And not only that, there were people that were willing to pay on their own dime to travel to Kelowna to help volunteer at this event. That blew my mind. What a compliment, and also what an honor. So when that happened, I was like, okay, I want to talk about the power of social media. And like I said earlier, my following has been growing. And it's not like we have this perfect system figured out of what we're going to be doing, how often. Like every week we get better and better at it. And I know just by default creating content for my podcast helps too. But here's some things that I want to share with you on how to grow your following, my observations. And as we know with social media, algorithms change all the time. But hey, today this is what works. So when I say we, I did this all the time, especially in the last year and a half, 2 years with any PR client that I used to have in my agency. I told them, if you're really interested in gaining that influence, you have to tell yourself that you have a media company. You have a media company, meaning that a large portion of the time spent as a CEO founder of your company should be marketing yourself. I know a lot of people don't want to hear that, but here's the truth. Is the people that are crushing it in terms of their business growth, whether it's product, service, you name it, they're putting themselves out there. They're committed to being the face of their company, which means that you have to go all in. all in here in Dan's company meant that he has a guy who's full-time employed and all he does is create reels. Can you believe that? Isn't that crazy to think? So when you look at the world of these people showing up online, like Jen Gottlieb, Lori Harder, Dan Martell, there is actually pretty substantial team behind that, having like spinning the wheels of that engine, of that content engine. All this to say is that you might not be in a position to have that team, because I know I'm not in a position to have a team of, I don't know, 5 to 6 video people full time to be doing this content for me, but you might have an assistant. And if you don't, I urge you to go check out our sponsor, Linked VA. If you go to linkedva.com, they have people that are incredibly talented that can help you with your social media strategy, content, you name it. Go check out Linked VA. They are a sponsor of the show. I urge you to go find somebody who can help you create this content. One thing that has worked for me is I hired a local girl, Allie, back in the day, and she came up with a plan, a strategy of what this would look like, not detailed. And we said, you know what? We think this is going to work. We don't know. So she showed up with kind of like a shot list of all of the B-rolls that we needed to get and the outfits I needed to make, to put on. She came over to my house and she's like, here's the idea for this piece. So I need you to be in your jeans and a white shirt pouring a coffee. Perfect, because here's the content she wants to put over top. And then the next idea and the next idea. So she had and it took, 30 minutes to do. I'm sure if you have an older child who is capable of using a phone, they can shoot video for you. You can come up with these script ideas, these content ideas, follow people who are already doing it well, and make a version of your own, of what they're doing that is successful, that works for you, that serves your purpose, that helps you cross that finish line. It's not complicated. It's just a matter of doing what you think is going to work. I know here, they assess every single piece of content that goes out. They track how it did within the first 10 minutes, the first hour, the first day, the first week of it launching. And they know based on views and engagement, the potential of it being a reel or a piece of content that'll get 1 million views. And that's the goal, is every piece of content to get 1 million views in a month. Pretty cool. But then they have a big system here. So you can create a smaller, watered down version of that for you. The other thing is that you have to go live and you have to be showing your face in real time. So whether you're doing lives with another person, which I highly recommend on Instagram, whether you're doing lives on Facebook, whether you're publishing content live in LinkedIn, you have to be direct to camera in order for this to work. With the advancement of AI, it's so easy to generate content now. I had a client of mine who took a blog post and a recording of his wife's voice from a previous podcast, and then extracted her voice to read the blog post to eventually become a podcast episode. Now, this was probably 1.5 years ago, so the technology has definitely been more advanced since then. However, if you listen to it, you would almost not even know that it was an AI bot that read that blog post and that became a podcast episode. I think that's cheating, and I would never do that. That is why I put my stuff on YouTube. That is why I take these videos and I clip them into shorts, into reels, and put them on TikTok. Because I'm going to prove that I am not AI. I'm here, Renee, creating this content, real, authentic, raw. I mean, even nowadays, this is crazy, because AI can detect everything from tonality to nuances in your content to punctuation, spelling. I will intentionally make a spelling mistake and post something on my social media accounts so that people know that it's real. Isn't that crazy? Like, once was the day where, God forbid, you'd have a spelling mistake. Now I just do it on purpose so that you know it's like, it's me that wrote that thing. So the other thing too, you have to live your life, right? Simply by living your life allows you to create experiences, which helps you create content. Those content creates opportunities. The opportunities lead to more experiences. Those experiences generate better content. So what I mean by that is you got to go out and do stuff. You can't just be stuck behind your desk just doing the same mundane routine. Things get boring. You're not creative. You get stuck in this rut, in this pattern. You actually need to go and do stuff. Travel is the biggest thing. Travel is hands down the best way to create content. You get out of your comfort zone, you experience new things. I don't know if you heard the episode about my little ditty in Bali with a moped. Had it not been for this experience with a moped, let me tell you really quickly what happened. I was petrified of driving these mopeds around Bali. And when we first got it delivered, the guy who rented us these mopeds gave us a really quick briefing on how to use them. But he showed me and he did it for me. And it was really quick. And I was like, I missed all that. What? So we had to leave and I didn't know how to, turn on the bike and do the thing. And so I was like, hey, to one of the guys we were traveling with, can you come over and show me? And then he did it for me. And I was like, okay, not thinking anything of it. Got to our destination, couldn't figure out how to park the bike. They came over, they did it for me. When we went to leave the restaurant, guess what? I needed help, somebody doing it for me because no one actually showed me how to do it. So had it not been for this experience of not knowing how to use a moped, I would not have been able to get an aha moment or to create this content. The aha moment in using that moped was, I remember this so clearly, coming home, was I realized that in life, as a parent, as an entrepreneur leader, even as a wife, that if you spend too much time just doing the thing for somebody, they'll never learn how to do it for themselves. They can't fend for themselves. So had I not lived that experience, I wouldn't have had this content. And it's such a great lesson in life. It's changed me. So if you're really urging to create better content, go out and do something different. Take drum lessons, take a tap class, paint your house, go travel, go meet new people, go to more events, do something. You have to change the pattern of your life in order to create that content, to come up with great ideas, especially if you don't have a team. Now, before all this is you really have to understand your purpose too. And you have to refine or define exactly your North Star. Your North Star is like the direction that you're going and why you're going there. This is understanding what truly matters to you beyond surface level goals. It's identifying the impact that you want to have in the world. It's clarifying your non-negotiable values. And more importantly, it's having a clear vision of your ideal future state. What does future you want in this life? It's the intersection of living life and having a clear North Star that creates that great content, what I call content leverage, where your real world actions naturally generate multiple content opportunities while serving your core purpose. See, this is way more sustainable than trying to manufacture content solely for the sake of it, right? And this could be soul crushing too. So if you actually look at all these opportunities in life, failures, successes, getting out of your comfort zone, these are potential content opportunities for you to teach or share with your community. So the other thing too is when you look at like scroll stopping content, things that catch your attention are often things that are just like pattern interrupters. They're specific hooks. They're specific patterns that resonate for you or your audience. In the world of business, for people that have really great business accounts that create content around business, they have things like contrarian statements, like most people get this wrong, ... Or result first storytelling. I made 1,000K in 30 days by doing this. They have pain point callouts, something like, tired of wasting your time on creating content for social media, ... It's like you're creating the message that people are like, oh, you're speaking to me. That's what your content needs to be. Whatever industry you're in, it's got to be like that. If you're in the jewelry business, think about what that means for you. Like you could do a little online quiz. Are you a gold or silver girl? What looks better on your skin tone? People want that interaction. They want to be stopped dead in their tracks because that is what gets their attention. Maybe you're going to use data-driven openers like only 3% of entrepreneurs do this. Or pattern interrupts like stop doing X immediately. And when you look at your scroll, maybe it's just a different color, a different pattern, a different usage of content from audio only to video, you name it. You constantly need to be creative. And this is why creating content in like quarterly chunks is almost redundant because it's really hard for you to force to be creative about something that you're going to be posting in 3 months, unless you are looking at your content calendar for the year. Because this matches with the world of PR. You want to be making sure that the content relevant to certain occasions are being published on time. For instance, right now it's January 9th. It's probably a very, very good idea to start creating and thinking about your Valentine's Day content if this is significant to you in the world of your business. You might start thinking about our Mother's Day stuff as well this far out. It's like, what is something you can do to be a pattern interrupt, to be creative, to get attention? Because sometimes these things take a lot of effort and you need to start working on those things well in advance. So when you've come to this part, you got to think, okay, you've created this content. Maybe Instagram is your beast. You also want to look at cross-platform distribution. We used to be anti-omnichannel, and now all of a sudden, all the marketing gurus are saying, nope, we're omnichannel, meaning we're across different platforms. And if you were to ask me over coffee, I would probably say it's best to check out a couple other platforms. Now, the content is not going to be the same. You can't just take something that you've put on Reels and publish it on TikTok, hoping it'll have the same reaction. You can't do the same thing for LinkedIn. Now, you can take the same piece of content, but you could leverage it differently. So, for instance, for us, we'll put a reel, the video that we've created for Reels onto LinkedIn, but the caption will be different. So everything's treated differently. We rarely actually schedule stuff to go out. We're mostly manually posting because we understand the importance of timing. We understand the importance of really reviewing everything multiple times before it goes out. Speaking of LinkedIn, really quickly, sidebar on this, is you should be running, if you're in the world, if you're B2B, actually any business, should really be considering this platform because I think it's like 1 or 2% of LinkedIn users actually create content. So when you do, it actually gets seen, and it's true. I wrote an article, some really arbitrary article about media and like PR a couple years ago, and I published it, and then within a week I had a client. I'm talking like $5K a month client. So it works because it was super strategic. The other thing that works for social is collaborations and partnerships. Anytime I do a collab on an article, a post or a collaboration via Instagram Live, those kind of things, when you're with somebody else and they're collaborators or they're mentioning you too, I get more followers and I get more engagement. So think about who you can partner with there. Stick to a routine to schedule too. You can go 2-a-days if that makes sense for you. You can go 1-a-days. You can go every other day. The most important thing is that you're sticking to a schedule that works for you. It's sustainable, but that you are constantly producing content. The people whose channels are growing substantially that are not celebrities are people that are probably publishing for Instagram, for instance, 2 pieces of content a day. That's a lot. But chew off what you can actually swallow. Make sure that it is sustainable for you. And the last thing about growing your following, regardless of the size of your following, is your analytics. Don't ignore it. I know, just like a bank account, when things aren't going good, you don't check it. I absolutely urge you to check it. Look at the analytics. What content's working? What is performing the best? What is flopping? I'll go back and I'll scroll through my feed and I'll go back quite a ways. And for content that isn't performing based on our standards, I will go and I'll archive that on Instagram. I'll just archive it. And then I'll look at what's worked and why it's worked and come up with ideas on how to reproduce that content. Anyway, I understand. It's tough. We all want to grow on social media. We all aspire to have 100,000 followers and we aspire to have so many impressions. And it's just a game of bit by bit. Every inch counts. Every little bit matters. But like I said, I'm not the one that's the expert here. All I know is from observation, what's worked for me, what I've seen here at Martell Media and other friends doing. It is so fascinating when you see the person and it just clicks. Something happened and it clicks. And when it clicks, all of a sudden you realize that's the content. It doesn't take forever to get there, but it does take some time to understand what clicks. For podcasting, for instance, I've been doing it for almost 5 years now. And my editor was telling me that in the last year, for some of the other shows that he's been producing, that the thing that helped some of these shows actually get that click was a moment of something that was refined. It could have been a messaging, it could have been the target audience. It was something where they didn't know until they actually continued doing it to realize that's the thing. My friend Eleanor Beaton, former business coach of mine, same thing. They just kept refining and finding and moving the dials and seeing what's going to work before it clicked. So even if it's not working, that's a data point to say you got to keep trying, because it can eventually work. You just have to stay committed and creative. That's it. So that is what I wanted to share with you, because I do know that people that are really engaged in and invested in growing their social media following and creating content and being a media first company are actually seeing the most success. So I urge you to consider what that is for your business. And for your business, the best gift you can give yourself, if you have not already checked it out, is the Pink Skirt Project. It's an event that I am co-hosting with my friend Anita, June 12th, here in Kelowna, BC. Today confirmed a killer speaker that is coming in from the States to be with us. And it's just going to be an incredible one-day summit. Long day packed with inspiration, motivation, energy, brilliant women. I just want to wrap my hands around everybody and give them a big hug, because I know the day is going to be so incredible. So go check out the pinkskirtproject.com or follow me on Instagram, Renee_Warren, for more information. DM me. Until next time, ladies, peace out.